everybody. Happy Saturday. I hope everybody's having good morning. Today we'll talk about my favorite topic, Russia. So since it is 2021 now, there is new laws that kicked in Russia. And of course, one of the biggest ones is Foreign Agent Act. I did a video previously about it and I'll post the link here underneath it pertaining to this. But what is interesting now, we have more information about it, and I wanted to share all the information that's currently available and what I was able to find out about the Foreign Agent Act. Of course, there's people already under that act immediately. Ponomarev being one of them, and he's been a justice fighter for some time in Russia. I'm not really familiar with his cases as far as he was advocating for a lot of people, including one of the biggest murders that happened. So this one has certain clout, but I'm not sure if he received donations from foreign entities, but highly likely what I can think of is that he had certain consult with foreign lawyers, and that could have possibly got that scenario to be on the list. However, again, this is my speculation. I'm not 100% sure, because when someone is put on that list and has to identify themselves as foreign agent on social media and everywhere else, and also have to provide disclosure of their funds, there's specific stringent control. In this case, I'm not really sure what happened to that person. Also, the Center for Domestic Violence, one individual who's in charge of it, is on the list as well. And again, I don't follow the Center for Domestic Violence in Russia, so I cannot really tell you the particulars about that, but this is the people who are ending up on the list right now. But there's highly likely more will be added. So what is that list? I will leave a link in the previous videos. The list is any private individual who is involved with any type of foreign interference, even though it's not truly interference, but for example, they receive donation via PayPal, or they use Patreon, or they use anything above, and let's say $1 came, let's say, from America or Canada, and they immediately can be put on foreign agent list because now they're colluding with foreign agent. And it only applies to specific areas too. For example, if you're donating to a shelter in Russia pertaining to Save the Animals, they're not in that scenario. If you're donating for bloggers that you like, for example, I love to watch I Am Puma, which is a very popular Russian YouTuber. You can donate to them from anywhere in the world because they're not involved in any politics, they're not discussing political candidates, they're not discussing current political situation in Russia. It only applies to these scenarios. Therefore, what it means, so for example, if you have a YouTuber or anybody on Facebook, Twitter, etc. from Russia, and they're discussing which political candidate people should vote for, yet they receive donation on their Facebook or on their YouTube, and it was from foreign country, they automatically would be put on a list and they have to disclose it. And also, they cannot discuss politics or candidates after that, because the scenario hasn't been tested anywhere yet, and it has not been tested even in courts, because I'm sure there'll be certain challenges, but nevertheless, Russia and court challenges are two very different things itself. It's not the same as setting up precedents in the West. It's very specific. So nevertheless, and obviously they have a different law structure. They're not governed by common law, and they're not even, their criminal law is completely different too. Their constitution is different. So there's a lot of different pictures. So if you were going to be asking for damages through a common law scenario in Russia, it's very skewed how it works. So that comes to another point, and I'll get back to the Foreign Agent Act because there's more. There's also new heightened ramifications for libel. So now for libel, you can get up to $5 million fine and also up to 5 years imprisonment depending on the type of libel. So this is quite serious. 5-year imprisonment, and this is the maximum, could be given. I'll give you a scenario. For example, a manslaughter charge carries about 7 years. So getting 5 years for libel in Russia, they really upped their ante. And this law will also apply to politicians. So I think this year will be very cautious for a lot of politicians in Russia. A lot of Gosduma members, they'll have to watch what they say as far as libel and making false statements. And of course, if Navalny came back to Russia and making certain statements, like for example that Putin is going to resign because he has Parkinson's, I can see possibly that carrying a 5-year term with the new laws that came into effect, even though I'm giving it as an example. I'm not saying it's going to exactly happen to Navalny or who's going to be under it, because clearly nobody has been charged under it as well. Today is only the second day in 2021. So let's get back to Foreign Agent Act. There's going to be 6 categories and 6 stages of that law. The 6 being the highest and most dangerous foreign agent. And every level, and it's not exactly disclosed yet, but every level you'll have to actually, besides posting that you're a foreign agent, you'll have to post the levels. So that means if you're number 6, there's the highest possible level. Also, with this new act, what it means too, that from now on, you're not going to be allowed to observe elections in Russia. So that means you cannot be near writings, you cannot say anything for which candidate to vote publicly, because then you're going to be in violation of the law if you received any foreign donations. That means you would be interfering in Russian elections. This is how it's going to go down going forward, and especially it's going to be tested this year because Gosduma elections are going to be up, and this law for sure will be tested this year. Also, as far as political bloggers are concerned, and especially certain ones, and I've seen quite a few, and they do receive funding from foreign nations. They do receive donations because many bloggers survive by getting donations, of course, in order to do their journalistic work, because it is not easy gathering information, and some huge bloggers as well, they do huge investigative reporting, which is, worth months spent on it. So that's how they get their donations. But in this case now, going forward, their work can be hindered because it also has to be donated by Russian nationals. Also, let's say if somebody decided to do a 3-way process and somebody transferred to a Russian citizen who is not involved in politics on any type of social media at all, and then that person decides to transfer it, everybody who gets any foreign exchanges now, as far as transfers, they would have to report it. And it's not disclosed if they have to report it yearly, like with taxes, or if they have to report it quarterly. This information is not available yet. Or is it going to be case-by-case basis, because clearly they're going to have to employ a lot of additional staff or allocate additional resources within government and intelligence in order to track these people down under foreign agent. However, I don't think it is Kremlin's idea to have so many people labeled as foreign agents in Russia. No. I think what Kremlin is trying to do with this is actually instill fear in those individuals that if any foreign funds are actually given, that they are going to be in violation of the law, and also they're trying to influence election. And this is how it's happening. At the same time, even though this one is more draconian than others, many nations actually don't allow to meddle into, foreign nationals cannot meddle in U.S. elections anywhere, truly. That's not should happen in democratic society. You're allowed to have your views and opposing views, but taking funding from overseas entities, that's where the issue comes from. And to be quite honest, right now there's another upheaval that's happening, and it is actually against Navalny. And certain people are actually stating if it wasn't for Navalny last year, and with everything that he's done even before, and like I said, even before his poisoning, singling out Russian doctors, showing where they live, etc., this law might have never came into effect specifically to foreign agent as a private person. This is not something that was contemplated for years. This was a reactionary rebuttal given what happened. I'm not condoning that it's happening, but I'm saying it is a concern, and people should tread very wisely going forward on social media. There's also reports that certain freelance journalists for Radio Liberty and obviously Svoboda are getting added on that list. However, this is not confirmed, and like I said, they do great work and they've been around for a very long time, but nevertheless, this could be it. But everybody else, like I said, private individuals, you have a blog, you post on Facebook, you post on Twitter, you post on any platform that's Western platform, you'll automatically end up on this list if anybody ever donates anything to you, or if you ever, and then the question remains, outside of donations, if these people, for example in private messaging, they're communicating with people from the West, would that be enough to make you a foreign agent too? That kind of becomes an interesting question. Would they have to submit all their information? Because a lot of now, even Facebook, like there's certain angles where a lot of social media that are not from Russia have to have servers stored in Russia. Would those records be subpoenaed now to read the messages to see if there's a threat? I mean, obviously everybody's getting tracked as it is now, but nevertheless, would that be it too? So for example, if somebody joined a Facebook group and it had to do with politics, and there's foreign nationals, and sometimes they have conversations, and someone mentions the word, I'm going to be voting for this candidate, or for example, I suggest this and that, and this is my position, but you're discussing it with a foreign national, even though inadvertently, would that automatically grant you that, and what level would you get? I'm assuming level 6 would be for people who have high donations, the people who are receiving a lot of funding, who are involved in heavy politics in Russia, who are very known big opposition figures, for example, or and then level 1 would be someone who minorly just socializes on social media with people who are not living in Russia. Again, there's certain answers, but I mean, I'm guessing, given that the 6 is being highest and 1 is the lowest, 6 would have to be high level where there's actually involved. And then also there's additional ones which are obviously, your treason individuals, the ones who are actually working on, or additional information, or they're working or interested in cooperating with foreign governments while being a Russian national, gathering information. But this scope is outside of this law, but nevertheless, this net is so wide now because it does not have certain parameters even. The margins are so wide and so big that it's very even hard to distinguish exactly how it's going to play out per se. But given from a logical, analytical perspective, like I said, 1 and 6 is understandable. Also, social media, it is not quite cut out, it's not cut and dry, or even a scenario where it says if you are on Twitter, or if you are on Facebook, if you're on YouTube. Like, there's a lot of, TikTok is not used for political reasons, even though before there was TikTok messages by very famous Russian bloggers in support of Constitution amendments for 15 seconds. Those appeared, but it's not really a political platform. So nevertheless, please click like, please subscribe to my channel, let me know what you think, please let me know what your opinions are. Do you know anything about this further? Thank you and have a great day.